Salam Euro fans, my name is Ewan. Joining me today is Kittens, and you are watching that Eurovision site, Eurovision with a Slice of Life. We're back with our discussions for the internal selections, and our next one is Fahree, who is representing Azerbaijan with Ilkin Dovlatov and the song Özünlə apar. How are you today, Kittens?
I am surviving. It's been very soggy today. Apologies for my hair.
There's constant apologies for my hair as well. But yeah, also soggy up here as well. But in quite a big contrast that from the land of rain, we're going to the land of fire. So Azerbaijan opted for an internal selection again. So this will be the 10th time that they've done an internal selection completely. Continuing with last year, they did announce that they were favoring um Azeri uh songwriters and Azeri performers. Previously, during the internal sections, there has been lots of criticism by lots of people that Azerbaijan was using too many Swedish and Western songwriters. So to counter that, Azerbaijan has been really promoting um, indigenous talent, and they have gone with an Azeri of songwriters this year. So the entire team are Azeri, and we have Fahree and Ilkin Dovlatov. What's your thoughts with them going with this strategy and not doing the whole "here's a Melfest reject"?
I mean, honestly, even if the results aren't what I want to see, and we'll come on to that in a bit, um, I applaud them for doing it. I think that it is important that countries do try and showcase a little bit of what they are and not just try and put forward a Eurovision winning song that they put forward a song that says this is who we are as a country. Um and I really like that they've stripped it back and gone, right, no, actually, we're gonna make this conscious effort to sit there and go, well, actually, let's change the script here. Um yeah, it feels to me like something that some other countries could take note of. I will not name any names. But I definitely see what they're trying to do.
I'm sort of like in two minds about this because like I did used to like Azerbaijan is one of my favorite countries in Eurovision. I'll just get that out of the way because you're going to hear that throughout the video. Um, but I always felt that when they did use Swedish songwriters, they still made it authentically Azeri. So I was quite a bit hesitant with them saying like, okay, we're just going to go for try and get Azeri songwriters because try and sound more authentic. But like I think they were already having that authenticity coming through a lot better than some other countries were doing so when with that strategy. But I absolutely love what they've done this year. Um, I always say they just 3 minutes of Mugam and I'll just be happy. And they've got a Mugam singer in here. Um, how do you feel about the way that they are actually going through the selection? Because they didn't just say, here's the deadline for the songs. Okay, here's our song. They were quite vocal about like, okay, here are our short list of artists. Here's what we're thinking. Because originally, Fahree wasn't on the final two. There was Izel and a group that Ilkin Dovlatov, the Magam singer, was in. But then for some reason, they just opted to go for Fahree and included this. So how do you feel about this openness with internal selections, or do you think that they should be a lot more hush hush?
I mean, I've got no particular beef with that. However a country kind of wants to do that, they as long as it works for them, if it builds a bit of hype, even if it's only within their own country, throwing some rumored names in, especially if they're like bigger names, returning names, and stuff like that, building a bit of hype for the entry. I don't think there's any harm in that. Um, I think, you know, switching stuff about and kind of doing a bit of a weird feint on it is like, it's a little bit of a choice, but I again, they're gonna do what they're gonna do personally, and if it's working for them, then who am I to say? You know, I don't think we have to be secretive over new selections. If there is a rundown of us, like look at, say, for example, Poland this year, where we had a rundown of like 30, 40 artists that we knew were possibly in the running.
I think at one point there was a list going about with like there was a good few hundred on there. The long
Yeah.
list was going about.
And you just got this wild situation where, people, whether they are like officially on the list or unofficially on the list and all that kind of stuff, you know, i- if people are just, part of me thinks, oh, people could just say they're on the list to get a bit of a promotion. But as long as I think it's managed well by the broadcaster, I don't think it, I don't think it makes a lot of difference, personally. What about you?
I mean, I'm thinking a bit the same, but I also think this was not managed very well because originally we were meant to have the song and the artist in the middle of January, and as you'll probably know, if you're watching these videos, Azerbaijan was the last song to actually come out, and it was it after the deadline? Yeah, it
After.
was like two days after the deadline. We knew that Fahree was the act, but we didn't have the song yet. So I love them saying like this is what we are because when you get countries that are like it gets to March and there's just like literally no information whatsoever.
Dead
Uh
silence.
I think that's particularly about like being a UK Eurovision fan in that era of like when they just announced start doing internal selections and then nothing. You got literally no information. Um it's
I
really
mean,
annoying, but it's also
Australia
annoying.
this year.
Oh God, yeah. Because usually Australia is a bit more open, but yeah, so it's always good to be a Eurovision fan or even just a fan in those countries to like get let you know. But I think there does need to be some expectation management because if you are saying, yeah, it's going to be January and it's getting to the right to the deadline of it and like, mm, mm, maybe don't be that open. Um,
Yeah. I mean, we all know delays happen, but the delays of 2 months is
because
quite a thing.
especially when the delays are like you're actually announcing these are the final two these are the final two acts, and neither of those final two acts are the ones that win. Um, it seems a bit chaotic, but then again, Azerbaijan does have this little like grain of chaos with them. The entire Caucasus have a grain of chaos with them when it comes to any information about their acts. But moving on to the act itself, what do you think of Fahree and Ilkin?
I mean, obvious like I am not an Azerbaijan stan. I have never really ever liked with any amount of like veracity, I don't think any entry from Azerbaijan. I'm here to like for anybody who hasn't worked this out, I'm here to dampen down Ewan. Um,
See,
but
I
yeah,
thought you would have been a Cleopatra fan.
it's fine.
Uh,
It's fine. I danced to it, but I'm not like, I wouldn't be running to the dance floor. Um, but like I've obviously never heard of this act before. I felt like we didn't get a great deal of information, a great deal of like hype about this artist, this act. Um, it was just kind of like, and there you go. And obviously there was like names and stuff being bandied around, but nothing like I always feel a little bit with internal selections that you don't get the level of hype because you haven't got that level of competition. And you haven't got that like length of time, especially when it's a song that comes out right near the end of the year. Because I you don't go on such a journey with the song. You either like it or you don't like it. And in my particular case, it I forget it instantly. I am it's not for me. I If you tried to get me to like sing a line from I've listened to it 4 or 5 times at least. If you tried to get me to sing a line from it, I'd be hard pushed. Um and I'm sure that they are both very talented people and very good at what they do. Um but for me personally, the song is it ain't it. It ain't it for me. And I don't even dislike it. It's just there, you know?
This is the most
Can't wait.
diplomatic I have ever heard you be about this.
The thing
Uh,
is, there are songs in this year that I hate. I
mhm.
hate Monomore. I hate Hollow. This, I don't even hate. It's just apathy. It certainly exists. There's certainly a song that exists. And that's kind of like where I am. Like, yeah.
See, I understand that there's a lot of apathy to what, like, why people have like apathy towards like Hollow and Monomore. But I feel like this, and I might just be biased because this is my favorite song, but like both those other songs are in my top 10 as well. So I don't get why this one would be seen as more of like apathetic because there's a lot more to this. It feels very atmospheric. So I'm surprised that
I
it doesn't
I
like I'm surprised that you don't hate it.
I think you should go off and tell me exactly why you like the song so much. You have
Well,
a license. Do it, do
like
it, do it.
it it's all about the atmosphere to it because quite a lot of of the songs this year are just there. You have the exceptions like the code and things like that. They're really like in your face. They're just been there. But so many of the songs are just there. Even ones that I really like. My top five has a couple of songs that are just like there. But this one is actually building you. It's trying to like captivate you and take you in. Which is just all has drawn me in. And I think the way that it has blended the strings that sound so Azeri with the traditional throat singing and with Magam, and it's also just got a really good modern beat to it. It doesn't feel like it's mashed together because although Azerbaijan was my favorite in 2019, I will admit that was very thrown together. That was the very it was a lot in it was a melting pot of sounds, and I think it works. But this one, it all feels so connected, so well done that I just love it. It's just so amazing.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I I love that you have this completely different reaction about it to me because like I genuinely I love how brains work. But equally, like I think this shows that, it's Eurovision, anything could happen. A song could really vibe with a load of people, and I could be sitting there going, "What the hell?" But I love that's a thing that can happen. Um,
Mm.
the song ain't for me. It is for you. This We are polar opposites on this one, kind of, but I don't hate it. It's just existing for
Mm.
me.
So that itself it does sound dangerous though, because for a lot of people, a song that is just there, they will rank lower. They will consider it less. So moving on, how do we think that you're taking the songs just being there and how it's affected you? How do you think that this will affect other people when it comes to the actual voting itself?
I mean, we do have the semi-finals to think about, and it's a busy and loud semi-final.
Mhm.
So we're in the first semi-final. We have a lot going on in that semi-final. Um, it's hard to see what would like take away from it, like what would vote steal off it. Because I don't think there's anything really like this in this semi-final. I don't think there's anything really fully like this in the whole of Eurovision this year. Um, but it is a very big and loud semi-final. It is gonna have to work to be like to stand out. And I think the death knell for it would be is if they just put them on a stage with some musicians and do their thing. It has to have something. because there's so much going on elsewhere. I think in a different year where you had like different songs, maybe, but when we've got, you've got Baby Lasagna in this, you've got Sylvester Bell in this, you've got Bambi Thug, who's clearly going to bring some sort of bonkers staging, you know, you've got like all sorts, Raven, who's probably going to bring something wild. Um, for me, for a middle of the road song to come out of that level, it's going to need something on staging, and if they do five men and a drummer, I feel it's going to struggle.
Hmm.
Um,
I would agree with you if they do that, there's no hope in hell. And I get what you're saying about it being loud, but if we also considering the running order, all of those ones you've said, like Sylvester, Bambi, Baby Lasagna, and all that, they're all earlier on in the show. Like where it is in the run, yes, you have Sweden performing right before, but Sweden are probably going to bring a big, ridiculous, stupid prop because Sweden always brings a big, ridiculous, stupid prop. So there's probably going to be a break before and after. So I do wonder, like, is there going to be is that break afterward going to be enough of like a palate cleanser? Because once you go, it goes Azerbaijan, Australia, Portugal, Luxembourg. Like Luxembourg, it's a poppy dance number, and yes, there is a revamp coming, but it's not a loud one, and I feel it could work quite well in that sort of run. I'm under no illusions. This is not coming like top three in this thing.
yeah,
But I
it
think there is a path to for it to scrape through. But like I said, if they do just the boring park and bark with a few dancers, they need to go fully like 2017, 2019, just obsessively dramatic, what Azerbaijan is known for in Eurovision.
go big or
So over the top.
literally go home on this one, folks. This is going to need to drag a lot of attention. Um, I just I cannot say how much they need to not skimp on the staging on this. They need to bring drama. This song is full of drama. They need to accentuate that drama heavily.
Because I do not see Portugal and Australia bringing big, loud, over the top stagings. I don't see
I
Luxembourg.
think
I don't.
Australia might. I think
I'm
Australia might bring
electric.
something very bright and very interesting, but that's a topic for another video.
Yeah.
But I
Because we
don't
don't know.
know.
Because in the when they had the voting opening, how they're doing it this year onward, um, last time, lots of people didn't actually vote during the songs, which is why they then decide and said, okay, we're just going back to that window. So it'll be interesting seeing how that will affect the votes this year, whether or not people will actually wait until the end because it's a later song. Will it benefit from this, or is it going to be screwed because oh well, they've all voted for the boppy, so like
They've
Sylvester,
all
yeah,
voted for somebody else
and
earlier.
they're at the point where they can't bother. So it's kind of it's so difficult to predict this because there's so many songs in the semifinal as well that are like this. They're like there's a lot of people in that like 8 to 10 that could take that spot. And I think
Yeah.
Azerbaijan is one of those ones to do so.
I feel
If
like
it gets the
if it
sorry,
gets through, it's getting through very slightly.
mhm. But you don't actually need. There's not that many points in it, like in this post in this just pure
Oh yeah,
televote.
for
So
sure.
it's like
But
it is quite difficult. If it does manage to make through, which I am saying a big F, how do you think it would get in the final?
I mean, I still think it's gonna struggle. Um, Trying to put my personal feelings about the song aside and judge it objectively. I mean, yes, it all comes down to the staging. It all comes down to what they do. They need to do something there that is going to really, really pull it out of the bag. For it to be really, really noticed. I mean, the what it's got to potentially go up against, bringing in the tracks from, say, semi two, and obviously we don't know what's going to qualify from semi two any more than we know what's going to qualify from semi one, but thinking of tracks that bring the drama, if say Gote and Musti, for example, get through, they are going to be dialing up that drama in spades. So, if their thing is, right, we're going to have a really dramatic performance, um, they're going to need to work hard to differentiate themselves. Uh, mm, ye- Personally, like for me, this is a bottom side of the right hand side of the board if it gets through. Not like dead last, but like bottom side of the right hand side of the board.
See, I think of the stuff that we know is already in that's already made it to the final. Unfortunately, Germany, because that's coming last, without a doubt, regardless of what else is coming into the show. I
I have
think there's
opinions
some.
about Germany, but again,
Okay. So yeah, I don't think it's going to last. I think it can get that sort of like 20th place, like getting out of that bottom five, but it's not getting left hand side. Um, Maybe scraping that sort of like just into the top 20, but I think 20th place
I would say you're
is a good
probably,
is
yeah,
a 20, like 19th, 21st. That's probably where I would think it would go if it qualifies. Of course, they could then bring the most amazing staging ever and then get the pimp slot in the final and then come top 10 because it's like the jury absolutely fall in love with it because it's Eurovision 2024. We have literally no idea what the hell's going to happen.
it's Calvin
Um,
Ball at this point. Absolute Calvin Ball.
hmm. But moving on to the final point, like, what do you think, taking on what they've done this year, Azerbaijan need to look forward to, like, look into next year to, because obviously they've not picked a song that you've liked. What would you like to see them do
I mean,
in their strategy to pick a song that you would like and you think would do well?
personally, I don't think that they have to pick a song that I like. Um,
No, we're Eurovision fans. We need to be selfish. It's all about what we want personally.
to be fair, the thing is, they're always gonna have their fans. Like, people like you, for example, are gonna, consistently love what they put out. And they have they have a way of doing things, and they know what they're doing, and it appeals to people. It just so happens that those people aren't me. And I just I mean, I think realistically what they need to do is pick a shtick and stick to it. You can see why I had to say that slowly. Um, they have flip-flopped around a little bit in the last 2 years. I don't think it's particularly paid off for them, that flip-flopping about. I'd love to see them for a few years just go consistently, bring that quality, you know, if they are going to go down the right, we're gonna like work out authentically with Azerbaijan people, songwriters, artists, whatever. Do that and stick with it for 3 to 5 years. If that strategy pays off, it's gonna pay off. Um, I, you know, I don't think flip-flopping around and trying to cut between things constantly is going to do them any good. Um, so, and I like to see them bring something authentic to themselves. Obviously you've said that this is something that you've kind of wanted, at least parts of this, for years. You're sitting there going, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. Oh my God. You know, there are going to be plenty of other people like you who are just sitting there going, give me this, give me all of this, give me 10 times this now, kind of. And, pick a style and stick with it for at least a few years, would be my thought.
See, I'm actually completely different here. I think they need to be go wildly different every year in being bespoke. I think they should go along the route that Georgia was doing for a number of years, because they would use Pop Idol to select their act, and then they worked with the song. Now, I don't think it worked the case in Georgia's case because it's it's Georgia. Nothing Georgia will do is going to come well. I love their songs, but let's face it, they're awful at Eurovision. but they just don't care. They're just here to like, we're Georgia, we're here
They're
to have fun,
vibing.
which is a great vibe in itself. But I think Azerbaijan could work well because they used to have Melisa Shimturu, which was a ridiculously over the top long selection show. I think it was like 8 to 10 weeks, 5 nights a week of talent shows. And yet, yes, it was chaos. Not necessarily to that level, but like having auditions and announcing and say, hey, in December, hey, this is our act. And then working with those because they get a good few hundred songs submitted. There's stuff in there that they can work and go specifically with that artist sorry, with that artist that they're selecting, and then bring in these other elements. Like if there's a great traditional singer with that, incorporate it into it rather than sort of this like last minute thing that they've been doing. Because yeah, it's great that they have brought in these big names in Azeri music previously, but I don't think Azerbaijan's in that space to do it, and I think just going for spending months and be the last country to announce their song, just continue that. But if it's months of working together with that act to perfect an amazing song, I think that would work a bit better than the strategy they're doing now, because like the songs don't the artists don't have to come with a song, and it's just a bit all over the place. I just want some more consistency and just a lot more bespoke. Personally, I would love a national final, but like that's just not going to happen. They're not a national final country, which it does pain me to say that. But yeah, I just think there's better ways of doing this internal selection, and I think they can return to that era of being one of the best performing countries at Eurovision. There's definitely talent. There's an over the topness and like energy there to bring that back. But anywho, thank you for listening to me rant away. I guess this makes up for me listening to you rant about Nemo. So we're even for now. Um, Thank you so much, viewers, for watching us today. This is probably the last one of these that's going out. So looking to the future, we will be in loads of different pre-parties. We'll be at Eurovision. We'll be doing lots of things in the lead up to Eurovision 2024. So to keep in touch with what we're doing, follow us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Threads, Tumblr, and Blue Sky. You can also follow us on that Eurovision podcast to listen to all of our interviews with acts and any of our off-season stuff where we discuss random topics and Eurovision of old and Eurovision of the future. Thank you so much for listening to us today. We have been Euan and Kittens. Bye.
Bye.